Uh, Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the breakdown. I'm Tone, and it is really great to have you here with me once again. Today, we have 439 new COVID cases, which is a steady number compared to yesterday. So, holding the line as we speak. And today is the second day of curfew, of stage 4 restrictions. It is also day 13 of my self-imposed lockdown against the mask mandate. And look, what we're hearing in the news right now just falls right into the lap of my point of view. Just before doing this video, I caught up on the news to look at what's really going on. And we're listening to experts on ABC having an interview saying, being asked the question, do you believe we need to get used to dealing with this virus over a long period of time? The answer was yes. So understanding that, the mask mandate was never going to do anything, of course. And even to suggest that stage 4 restrictions are not going to deal with this, people are still allowed out. They were talking about why were people allowed to go out and exercise all of this time, that the rules were rather ambiguous and anyone can kind of interpret them many different ways. This I agree with, as you would know, following this channel. So look, it's quite ridiculous. We've had restriction and then another level of restriction and then another level of restriction. The numbers have continued to increase. They've brought in the mask mandate. I still expect that to go countrywide. We'll see how we go with that, because I don't live in other states. That might be a little bit of an overreaching call. We will see, but I do still expect it to be highly possible. I was not surprised to see it happen here in Victoria. So, and of course, they push the agenda of the vaccine. And as I've said before, I'm not against vaccines, but I'm also not going to say that just because something has been good and correct in one case, that it just automatically means it's going to be the same in every case. That's not true. It's just, there's too much not adding up logically. So it just remains to be seen what happens with that. You'll notice that I'm wearing a Epic Fail t-shirt, and I believe that this whole thing has been transparently see-through from the very beginning. I've called it as I've seen it, and it just keeps falling into the lap of my point of view, as I've said before. So this whole charade is an epic fail, and it hasn't prevented us from getting to where we're at now, which it was never going to do. So yeah, look, I mean, I'm now under stage 4 restrictions, but I was basically 2 weeks before they brought it in, standing up against the fact that, well, why are you going to mandate a mask when you're already going to lock everybody at home, pretty much, and they've now gone to that. So I think that if there were any, and I suspect there are, but if there were any out there who have seen my videos or will see them in the future and look at them and think, well, you know, that was silly what he was doing, and, you know, standing for what exactly? I mean, look at how it's played out since then, and now it's case in point. there's no arguing with it now. It just happens to be what I said would happen. I'm not lucky. That's not luck. It's just understanding what the plan was all along. Anyway, I guess we better get to some of these mask mandate nope push-ups. It's quite ridiculous, as I'm sure you can imagine. I'd love to hear what anyone's got to say in terms of country areas and how you feel about the same restrictions being headed your way to what Melbourne had, even though wider areas of Victoria do not have the cases that Melbourne has or had. So what are your thoughts on it? I'd love to hear those thoughts. And are you happy to wear the mask, and do you believe that the mask, now that what you've seen happen here in Melbourne, use Melbourne as the case study. As I've said before, each state has handled things quite differently. Each state has had different outcomes. Each state has been, but I think the result will be quite similar anyway. Other states are going to follow us. That's what I believe. But based on Melbourne being used as the case study, what do you now think about masks? If you were of the mindset that, hey, you know, people not wearing the mask in Melbourne is the reason why this has gone like it has, and then if you live here, you would see people everywhere were wearing masks, right? All through the news, all reports from any of my friends that live here, they said everyone was wearing masks. There was only one or two people out of every several hundred maybe, that wasn't wearing one. And they'd have it around their neck if they weren't wearing it. So they still had it with them, just in case cops came along, I guess. So now that you can see Melbourne as a case study, what do you think of the mask? It clearly didn't stop us from going to stage 4. So do you now do you still subscribe to the thought process that masks must work? I'd love to hear your views on that. You're already going to know what I think about it. Food supplies are still going okay. We're almost 2 weeks in and I'm not close to have to just have rice and seasoning. I've better prepared myself than I thought I had, which is good. I'm glad to know that. Yeah, look, supermarkets still being open, meat places being shut down, so meat has been running off of the shelves, and they've put in restrictions on a whole bunch of stuff in supermarkets again, and to prevent panic buying. What should have happened? 1 month to prepare, 1 month to 6 weeks shut down, and then we would have been finished with this. Said it plenty of times, probably sound like a cracked record by now, but look, epic fail. man. Still got the restrictive movement. We're getting there. With another 6 weeks to go of this stage 4 lockdown, I dare say, hopefully, I get better at these push-ups. Yeah, look, it's been a ridiculous ride so far, and as they were saying on the news, we're going to need to get used to a new type of COVID normal, and it's going to mean more time for people to contemplate their bankruptcies and their job losses and their business foreclosures and their house loan foreclosures. I mean, what a wonderful time to be alive. It's an absolute mess how this has been handled, and it could have been avoided largely. But look, I've said it a number of times already. The agenda is not to protect people's wealth. Now, some will say that that's a bit of a leap to connect the two, but I would just encourage anyone that thinks that to really look at how the system runs. And you'll see that things are all interconnected. If we were trying to eradicate a virus, it wouldn't have been handled like this. So then, why has it been handled like this? That's the truth of it. That is the truth. You can't look at it and go, well, gee, they didn't know. I mean, if you didn't know, you would go to the nth degree until you did know. I mean, you can't write this stuff. You can't make it up. I mean, well, can't make it up. Actually, someone did, didn't they? The movie Contagion. I recommend that you watch that movie and just get a little bit of a perspective on how that looks, and then how this looks, and maybe we can make this stuff up. Anyway, I'll do a few more push-ups, and then we'll close it off, I think, because, I mean, there's nothing more to say, really. It's a farce. It's been ridiculous how it's been handled from the start. And I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to know what you're thinking. Because ultimately, what you think does matter, is that it gives you an idea about how you're going to handle the future. If you believe that this is a little bit of a look ahead at what the future can look like, then you'll understand that there's more to look at and more to understand before we get there. With that said, thank you so much for joining me once again on The Breakdown. Like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that. Share this video to anyone that you think would benefit from hearing another opinion on this stuff. I hope that it's inspired you to ask questions. Always ask questions, and always be questioning government decision. One thing that I think I'll cover a little bit more tomorrow, but we'll leave it for tomorrow, and that is, with this state of disaster, government has, for at least now and indefinitely, in Victoria at least, has unlimited power in many respects. So that's something we'll look at tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourself, take care of others, keep in contact with others, and God bless. We'll see you tomorrow for day 14. 2 weeks in.